Welcome to the Email Marketing Best Practice presentation. My name's Kathy, and I've been with Paddy for just over 3.5 years, and I'm a marketing executive in the EMEA office. Today will be an introduction to email marketing, how you can use this channel to help market your dive business, and what Paddy offers to help you with your marketing efforts. This will also be recorded, so if you have to leave partway through, then you can always watch again later. And if you are watching the recording, then hello and welcome. There's also a handout PDF of further reading links that I refer to during the presentation. That should be in the handout pane, so feel free to have a little look at that while we're going through. Right. First of all, I wanted to highlight this quote from MailChimp to answer the question, what is email marketing? So the quote reads, email marketing is a form of direct marketing that uses email to promote your business's products or services. It can help make your customer aware of your latest items or offers. It can also play a pivotal role in teaching folks about your brand or keeping them engaged between purchases. I've highlighted direct marketing, aware, teaching, and engaged, as they are the most important parts. You own your list, so you are talking directly to each customer. And the main types of messaging that work well on this channel are raising awareness, education or teaching, and building engagement with your audience. So, what are the main advantages of email marketing? Oops. Sorry, I went too fast on the slides then. It's trackable with clear return on investment. As opposed to traditional postal mail outs, there's a lot of data and metrics are available to us to help us understand the impacts of our emails. This helps you to clearly understand the return on investment of your email marketing. Very simply, for example, you could send out an email highlighting 10% off advanced open water courses to your database of open water students. You can then understand your return on investment by measuring how many advanced open water signups you received through the email and subtracting that from the cost of sending it. Obviously, that's really simplified, but because you can see exactly how many people signed up directly because of your email, it helps you to have more confidence in your analytics. There were 3.9 billion daily active email users in 2019, which is more than half the global population. So your potential audience is huge. Mobile is the most popular reading environment, accounting for 46% of all email opens in 2018. Knowing where your audience is accessing your emails is a key advantage, as it can help inform your design and copy. And we'll talk more about that later on in the presentation. In 2018, the Data and Marketing Association found that 73% of consumers say email is their preferred marketing channel. So people trust, and in some cases, actively seek out marketing through email. So it's a great channel to share your marketing messages. Let's talk about some of the benefits and values of email marketing. Targeted and personalized content. Unlike some marketing channels, you can send specific messages to specific groups within your audience. You can also address users by name and show them how important they are to your brand or business. They're interactive. Email is an interactive tool that engages your customer with your brand. In turn, you get behavioral data from the customer. What did they click on? Do they keep coming back to their email? What's the most popular content, etc. This information can then help you with targeting and optimizing design. Build credibility and establish authority. If you follow email marketing best practices and the law, you can use this channel to become credible experts in your field in the minds of your customers. Better brand recognition. There are lots of benefits to brand awareness. It brings loyalty, trust, and ultimately sales. For example, The Paddy brand recognition is so strong that it has been known for people to contact us to replace their certification card, but upon further investigation, we found out they got their diving certification with a different agency. But the Paddy brand is so strong, they assumed that they must have just got their certification through us. Boost sales. If you have an engaged audience segment, they want to hear from you and they want to buy from you. And email is a great marketing channel to be able to reach out to them personally and offer your services. Stronger customer relationships. Following email marketing best practices will help you to build relationships with your customers. Often people will willingly sign up to your emails because they want to build that relationship with your brand. Optimize your time and budget. Harvard Business Review did a comparison between direct mail and email marketing, which showed that direct mail costs about 100 times as much as email marketing, and return on investment wise, email marketing campaigns performed about 95 times better. One way to make the most of your time and budget is through creating auto email series. For example, with Paddy, we send out happy birthday automated emails to divers. And it's not unheard of, because I literally used to see these when I was working in the social media team, that divers would screenshot the email and share it on social media, thanking us for the message. This email made the customer feel valued, and as everything is automated from our end, it really didn't take any time at all. Clear metrics. Having clear data on what did and didn't work in a marketing campaign is so valuable, literally. Email is such a great channel, as you have that data available almost immediately, unlike magazine ads, for example, where it's a lot harder to attribute your efforts to final sales. Not that magazine ads don't work, it's just sometimes harder to prove that they do. Increased web traffic. You're directly reaching out to people who are already interested in your brand. And if you use clear call to actions or CTAs, you can direct them wherever you want. Email is widely regarded as the best way to drive traffic to your website. Build excitement. You can use email to showcase new launches, courses, or events. In order to achieve all the benefits mentioned in the previous slide, you need to plan your email marketing strategy. The next few slides will cover the following in more detail: email service provider, permissions, building a list, legal considerations, goals and objectives, types of email, and user journey. Let's start with email service provider. You may recognize some of the logos on the slide. These are just a few of the email service providers available that can help you to manage your email marketing. The main reasons to use a service provider include ensuring that your emails actually send. Many email accounts and service providers like Gmail or Outlook limit the number of emails you can send at one time, which might be okay to begin with, but as your business and customer base grows, it could get tricky. It reduces the risk of breaking data privacy laws. But be aware, just using a service doesn't mean you're automatically in the clear, but it definitely reduces these risks. For example, it's easy to accidentally expose your entire email list in a 2-line if you're manually emailing large groups. Audience management. Email marketing services can manage signups and ensure that subscribers can edit their profiles and marketing preferences. They also have more advanced list segmentation, which makes it quicker and easier to send the right emails to the right people. Email design. Unless you're a professional designer, it's hard to create professional-looking, on-brand emails, but these providers will often supply templates and user-friendly design tools. Analytics. Email service providers will give you access to in-depth reporting so you can understand how well your emails are performing. Saving time and money. Overall, everything I've just mentioned saves you time and money. If you're using email marketing correctly, the email service provider will pay for itself. And that's if you're even paying for it. Many are available for free, at least up to certain audience numbers. Pretty much everything else I cover in this presentation relies on you using an email service provider. So if you don't already use one, I definitely recommend looking into it. Permissions. This is super important. Ensure you have permission from whoever you are sending your emails to. With the introduction of GDPR, you could face heavy fines if you don't manage your customers' data correctly. It's important to note that GDPR affects you even if your business is not in the EU. If you are handling any data from EU citizens, then GDPR applies. I'm not going to go too deeply into GDPR and data privacy laws, but you should research this yourself and get legal advice if it's something you're worried about. There aren't just legal reasons why you should ensure you have permission to email customers. There are marketing benefits too. Research shows that open rates and click-through rates are 10 times higher when you send emails to customers whose permission you have received. This impacts the return on investment or ROI of your marketing campaigns. Remember, some email service providers start charging based on how large your audience is. So why would you waste money on people who don't even want to hear from you? To ensure you have correct permissions, you need to establish clear opt-in practices. This is where having an email service provider really helps, as a lot of the heavy work will have been done for you. You can see an example of how MailChimp manages opt-in practices on the slide now. Best practice is to also ensure unsubscribing from your email list is easy and clear too. So, how do you go about building your email list? There are loads of ways to do this. Ultimately, the online and offline worlds are your oyster, and the only limit is your imagination and your budget. Some simple ways to increase your mailing list online could include adding an email sign-up form on your website, call to action buttons in blog posts, and through social media posts and advertising. Offline, you can ask people in person or add it to some of the paperwork divers already have to sign. I've included a couple of links in the PDF handout to blogs and videos that go into a lot more detail about how to build your email list. Not all the ideas will work for you, but there will be some that you can implement without too much time or effort. When you are asking customers or potential customers to sign up for your email list, remember to let them know why they should give you their data. This is the value statement. Think about what it is that you can offer them in return for their email. Perhaps it's early access to discounted courses, extra support with diving theory, or exclusive offers. Your email marketing will only be as good as your data is, so try to capture relevant information, such as diving level, interests, etc. When customers are signing up as only having their name and email will limit you when you're segmenting. Remember that any time you ask people to sign up to your email list, you have to be in line with legal regulations. In terms of GDPR, this means that consent must be freely given, specific, informed, and unambiguous. And requests for consent must be clearly distinguishable from other matters and presented in clear and plain language, along with other considerations. Now, you're not going to want to send every email to your entire email database, so you'll want to segment it. This will ensure that the emails received by the customer are relevant, useful, and interesting to them. There are loads of different ways to segment your audience, such as asking for their preferences, using location data, or their engagement with previous emails. As a dive shop, one simple way to segment email data could be divers and non-divers. Legal. I hope you like my meme. I've already mentioned this a few times, but really it's so important, not just to protect your business, but to ensure that your email lists are full of people who want to hear your message and purchase your service. Obviously, it's not just GDPR, so I've linked to a few more resources in the PDF handout that cover email law. However, I'm not a lawyer, so this list is by no means an exhaustive one. And it's not just data laws either. Think about accessibility as well. Once you've decided on your email service provider, started to think about how you will build your email list and made sure your process is legal, it's time to start thinking about what you want your emails to achieve. Think about the journey of your customer and how your email marketing strategy can help them to achieve their goals at this stage. Do they want to find out more about your business? Are they trying to decide whether to take their course with you or a competitor? Are they ready to buy a course? Are they already a customer looking for further value or perhaps their next certification? And think about your goals at these stages in their journey. Do you want to, if you're targeting potential customers who haven't bought anything from you, you'll be looking to generate leads. If they're trying to decide where to take their course, you'll want to build customer relationships. If they're ready to buy a course, your goal could be to increase sales. If they've already purchased a course from you, you could introduce new offerings. One way to help decide on your email strategy is to answer the question, I want my email marketing strategy to. And remember, different email campaigns will have different goals. Now we're ready to think about the email itself. In the next few slides, we'll cover the following in more detail: types of emails, subject line optimization, preview line optimization, and content and design. Types of emails. There are 3 main types of email you can create depending on what goals you've set for your email marketing strategy. Automated emails. These, as the name suggests, are emails that have been pre-written and are sent automatically upon predefined triggers. An example of this type of email would be the one you received upon registering for this webinar that you can see on the screen. They help you to make the most of your time, as these emails can be written in advance and you don't have to remember to send them. You can also create automated email series that can be used to personalize your customer's experience. Unlike newsletters, the email is triggered by an individual action, such as subscribing to your email list, so the customer knows that this email is just for them rather than a bulk send. Informative emails. These types of emails would be less salesy. For example, if you had to change the time of an event, you could send an email out to registered and interested guests. And then marketing emails. This covers a whole host of emails and can include any messaging that supports your customer's experience with you. These could be newsletters, announcements, or event invitations, to name a few. The email on the right is an example of this type of email. When using automated emails, it's best practice to set up the user journeys. This allows you to control the triggers for the emails. User journeys will help to save you time, as you only need to set it up once and it emails customers automatically at a specific trigger. If you look at the example journey on the slide now, the triggers are days since the last email was sent. Depending on the subject, of course, open rates for journeys tend to be higher than for one-off emails. So you can see an example of the journey on the slide now. It's a simple one, but you can work it out so different actions trigger different emails. Obviously, I've covered quite a lot already, but it's important to remember that the first thing that your customers will see when receiving your email is the email in their inbox. The example on the slide is an automated email from Duolingo, letting me know how much or how little I practiced Spanish that week. And it's made of 3 parts. The email from name. So in the example on the slide now, this is Duolingo. For you, it would ideally be your business name. Subject line, your weekly progress report. And preview text, hey, Kathy. It's clear that this email is from Duolingo from the name at the top. The subject line informs me what the email is about, and the preview text is inviting me to open the email and see what progress I've made that week. Now we'll delve deeper into subject line and preview text best practices. The subject line will be the first thing the reader sees when receiving your email. 105 billion emails are sent every day, so your subject line has to stand up. No pressure. However, there are some industry best practices to ensure that you aren't just ignored. Limit your character count to 20 to 50 characters, or around 7 words. This will ensure that the subject line is long enough that you can convey the gist of your email's content, but isn't too long that it gets cut off. Use action-oriented words, so tell the reader what they should do. Avoid spam triggers. That will mean the recipient's email service provider will put it in the spam folder before your customer even sees it. There are a couple of spam trigger examples on the slide now. Make use of emojis. If they fit with your brand tone of voice, they can help your email stand out in an inbox and help to add personality. One tip for learning how to create engaging subject lines is to write 5 to 10 for each email when you're beginning in your email marketing journey. Then pick the 2 that you think are most likely to engage your audience and A/B test them. So send half of your emails with one and half of your emails with another. You can then analyze the results of a few A/B tests to see if there are any statistically significant learnings. For example, you could A/B test using an emoji in the subject line to understand if this is something that your audience responds to. I've linked to a few blog posts in the PDF that highlight more tips and tricks for improving your email subject line performance. Preview text. This is known as the snippet or pre-header, and it's the sentence below the subject line that starts to introduce the email content. It's really important to specify, otherwise the first text in your email will be pulled through automatically, which might sound fine, but could actually take away from the message that you're trying to convey. For example, if your email has social subscription buttons at the top, I mean, how many times have you seen an email in your inbox with a snippet that read, "If you can't see this email properly," considering it's one of the main things that would encourage your customer to read on, and it doesn't take very long to specify, is an easy win. The ideal character length will vary depending on your audience. If your audience generally opens your emails on desktop, you can use up to 100 characters. However, if they mostly open your emails on mobile, between 40 to 50 characters would be better to ensure that the entire text is displayed. Make sure you use this text to tell your audience what you want them to do. For example, open this email to receive your 20% course discount, or whatever it is. View this as a continuation of your subject line. That grabbed their attention. Now use the preview text to direct their next action. Copy. Remember that emails are a marketing tool to support the customer's journey, and they will never be the final destination. With this in mind, when you write your email, remember that you're going to want the user to convert somewhere else, whatever convert means to you in this email, whether it's buy a course or it could just be read a blog post. Understand the hierarchy of information. This simply means understanding what information is the most important and writing it first. For example, if you're launching a sale, this could mean that your headline in the email would be 15% off your next purchase, and then the next most important information could be the date the sale is running. And finally, you could write a short, persuasive paragraph with details on why the customer should buy now. A basic rule of thumb when writing email copy is to keep it simple, or if you like to use the KISS acronym, it's up there. This applies to all elements of the copy. Use friendly and informal language to inspire your reader to take whatever action it is that you want them to take. Keep the goal of the email simple. Don't overwhelm your reader with too many options. For example, if you have a week when you're trying to fill an open water class, you've got a sale on regulators in store, and you also have an event planned, it might be best to write 2 or 3 separate emails so that you can focus the reader to take one action at a time. Use compelling call to actions in your copy. Sometimes this can be as simple as book now. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you do need to tell your reader exactly what you want them to do. You should review your copy before sending it out, or even better, get another person to look over it to make sure that what you've written makes sense and that you haven't made any spelling mistakes, etc. Once you've written your killer piece of copy, you need to make it visually appealing. You can find out what device your readers mostly open their emails on. If it's mobile, design your email with a mobile-first approach, but if it's desktop, then design with a desktop-first approach. Most email service providers will enable you to preview your design on mobile, desktop, and tablet, just so you can make sure that it looks good on all of them. Simplicity is key here as well. Fancy graphics and busy pages might distract the reader from taking the action that you want them to. When you're using an email service provider, make use of their email templates. This will take a lot of the stress out of getting a design right. Also, remember that Paddy provide MailChimp email templates in our toolkits, so you can always use them for campaign emails. Think about your image size. This helps with the user experience. Images that are too large will make the email load slowly and may mean the reader won't wait for it to load. Alternatively, images that are too small will look blurry and unprofessional. If you need to make image assets for emails, then be sure to make use of free tools like Canva. Next, think about your information hierarchy. You should have already decided which messages are the most important when writing the copy, so ensure that the more important information, such as headers, is larger and less important information is smaller. You can use the inverted triangle to help with this. The image on the slide now shows how the image, header, and call to action button all work together to draw the eye to the CTA button. This is a simple design principle that you can use to encourage the reader to click through to explore more. This image also highlights an example of having the CTA above the fold, which is a nice bit of email jargon that basically means the first call to action button is visible as soon as the reader opens the email. The reader doesn't have to take any actions such as scrolling to see what you want them to do. Footers are an often overlooked element of email design, but they should be a key consideration when sending emails. You don't have to create a different footer for every email, so it's something you can afford to put a bit more time into. It's a really useful place to put brand information, such as links to your website, or reinforce your brand values. You need to have an unsubscribe button in your emails by law. This is a common place to find them. However, you could use this opportunity to improve your mailing list. Instead of just having an unsubscribe button, why not include a link next to it where readers can change their preference? You can see on the example on the slide, that's actually what we've done here. It could be that they don't want to receive emails about dive trips, for example, but would actually still be interested in hearing about your gear sales. You can also use the footer to link through to your social media pages. You want to make it as easy as possible for your audience to be able to follow and contact you. Remember, emails don't work in a silo. All elements of your marketing should support each other. You can add in additional links. One example, if your dive shop is part of a chain, you could have additional links in the footer that could link through to other dive shops in different locations. Last but not least, the footer is a useful place to include permission reminders, letting the reader know why they're receiving the email from you. You don't have to include all of these, but if they're relevant to your brand, I'd recommend looking into updating your footers. I've also linked to some useful blog posts in the PDF handout. So, sending the email isn't the end of your email marketing strategy, especially if you're at the beginning of your email marketing journey. The next steps are outlined on the slide. Now you need to measure your results and implement improvements. We'll cover these in more detail over the next couple of slides. I've just put a few of the main metrics you'll want to measure when analysing the impact of your email marketing strategy on the slide showing now. I'll talk through them one by one, highlighting what the metric is, what it can tell you, and why it's important. Currently, you can see that the image shows the industry averages for sports and hobby industries. They're the closest I could find to scuba diving. So bounce rate. It's also known as deliverability in some cases. This metric will tell you how many of your emails were delivered to your subscribers. It can give you an idea of how good your email list is. For instance, if you're using old email data, some accounts may have closed, been hacked, or are otherwise unused. There are two types of bounce rate, hard and soft. Soft bounces are because of a temporary problem with a valid email address. For example, there could be an issue with the recipient server. Hard bounce rates mean that the email address is invalid and your emails will never be successfully delivered. It's important to look at this metric so that you can identify the hard bounces and remove these emails from your list. Internet service providers use bounce rates as a key factor in determining your reputation, which basically means if you've got too many undeliverable email addresses that you're sending to, the emails to live addresses are more likely to be marked as spam. Open rates. This metric will tell you how many emails delivered were opened, and it's normally shown as a percentage. It can help to show you how well your subject line and preview text are working to entice readers to open the email. Open rates are important, as you can use them as a comparative metric to understand how to improve your messaging. For example, you can A/B test subject lines and compare the open rates to see what was more effective. You can also use open rates to understand how well your emails are performing in relation to your industry. I've included a link in the PDF handout where you can view industry average open rates. It's actually where I got these from. If you're already sending emails, check your average open rates in comparison to the ones in the link. There are a couple on the screen now from the MailChimp email marketing benchmarks. From this data, you can see that you should be aiming for an open rate around 25 to 28% to be in line with industry standards. Click-through rates. This will tell you how many recipients clicked on one or more links in the email send. Note that this is normally shown as a percentage and is a percentage of all emails delivered, not all emails sent. This is a key metric in a marketer's dashboard and gives you an idea of how well your emails are performing. It's a valuable metric to showcase how many people on your email list are engaging with your email content. You should measure this across time to ensure that it's going up. If your click-through rate starts to drop, you can look into other metrics, such as your open rate, to try and pinpoint what it is that is causing your emails to be less effective in engaging your customers. Unsubscribe rate. This metric will show you what percentage of people unsubscribed from your email list after opening that email. It can help you to understand how well your emails have been received by the audience. If someone has taken the time to click on a link to unsubscribe, they are actively telling you that they don't like what you're sending. You can use the unsubscribe rate in conjunction with your click-through rate to understand whether the engagement your emails are producing is positive or negative. To unsubscribe, the reader will click on a link, and this will register as a click-through. So always make sure when you're looking at your click-through rate that you also look at the unsubscribe rate. A high click-through rate might look good initially, but that could be because people are clicking on the unsubscribe link instead of the CTA. So looking at the example on the slide, the average click rate for sports is 3.09%, and the unsubscribe rate is 0.28%. Therefore, the positive click-through rate is actually 2.81% of the total audience. So yeah, 2.81% of the total audience who are sent the email clicked on the links that you want them to as a marketer. Website bounce rate. So I've included this metric to highlight the way in which your marketing channels work together to achieve your desired marketing outcomes. You would find this metric through Google Analytics, not through your email service provider. Website bounce rate shows how many people leave your landing page without taking any further action on your website. It can tell you whether your web page is engaging to your audience. In terms of email marketing, it's useful because there's no point creating the perfect email if the landing page you're sending your reader to doesn't actually get them to convert. So I've included a little pro tip here. It's important to understand that these metrics I've just talked about are quantitative, in that they're just numbers. So they can only ever tell you half the story. To fully understand the thought process behind your recipient's actions, you have to gather qualitative or wordy data and use the two together to have a full understanding of why your customer is doing what they're doing. For example, open rates can help you to understand how well your subject lines are optimized. However, it will never be able to tell you why your subscribers respond better to one subject line than another. To understand that, you would have to ask your subscribers directly. Once you've gathered your metrics, you can use these to inform improvements in your email marketing strategy. For example, if your A/B subject line test shows that including an emoji improves open rates, implement this across your marketing campaign. But keep in mind that things change. Maybe in a few months, the emoji won't be as effective. So be sure to keep testing and improving your marketing. On the screen, you can see how we updated the consumer email Dear Fellow Diver by understanding the evolving email market best practices and how our audience responded to our emails. Keep an eye on the frequency of your communications as well. Too many, and your audience may get bored and unsubscribe or mark you as spam. Too few, and they'll lose interest. Too sporadic, and they may miss communications or unsubscribe. It's best to aim for regular communications and keep an eye on unsubscribe and open rates to optimize send times and frequency. Ideal frequency depends on messaging and expectation, but 2 to 3 times a month could be a good start. So in summary, we have covered an overview of what email marketing is, what benefits there are to properly utilizing email as a marketing channel, what to do before you even send your first email, including selecting an email service provider, complying with laws, and building a list, best practices for the design and copy of your email, and what to do after you've sent your emails, including key metrics to measure and how to use these to improve your email marketing. How can Paddy help you? As I mentioned previously, we create marketing toolkits for Paddy campaigns and product launches. Within these toolkits, we have created email templates in MailChimp that you can download and use in your marketing. Toolkits also include Paddy imagery and logos and Canva assets. These are all aligned with the Paddy campaigns, so your content reflects our content, giving a holistic campaign view to your customers. On the slide, there are a couple of examples of Paddy email templates available to Paddy members in the post-COVID readiness marketing toolkit. I've linked to some of the most recent toolkits in the links handout PDF. So if you haven't already gone through this, then make sure you have a look. You can also access the Paddy 2020 marketing toolbox that has email headers for all the 2020 campaigns online. I've put the link to that in the PDF as well. But we don't just provide toolkits. There are other resources available too. Not only is the Pros blog an incredible resource for keeping up to date with your training, we also publish lots of marketing support here. I've linked to all the marketing blogs in the presentation notes. RM Support. They're your personal business advisor who can show you how to best use the Paddy marketing tools. Monthly Facebook Live drop-in sessions. So the first of these will be next Monday, the 21st of September, and again it will be at 7 BST in the evening. These will run for half an hour and it will be me online answering any of your marketing questions. So they can be as big or as small as you like. And the chances are, if you're wondering about something, others are too. Business survival webinars such as this one. The next business survival webinar that I'll be running will be how to create engaging social content. It'll be a little bit more practical than this session, but we'll deep dive into what makes your content engaging. If you haven't already, you can sign up to this using the link in the PDF document or on the Pros blog in the business survival webinar post. Other areas of marketing that we can support with, depending on membership level, include online marketing audits, where a marketing executive can deep dive into your online marketing presence, and store and van wraps. Please help us to help you. if you haven't already completed our survey, which was shared on the last organic social media marketing webinar, please do fill it out. The more answers we get, the more we'll be able to ensure that our marketing support is more helpful for you. If you have already filled it out though, I'll ask you not to fill it out again, because we kind of just want to, no. Also, you don't have to answer the question, your membership number, because you've already answered that to be as part of this webinar. So just ignore that question. Right, so it's question time. I'll just look in the question thing to see if there are any questions come through, but if you do have any questions, type them in now, and I am here to answer all of your email marketing questions. Let me just see if I can unlock this. Okay, so there have been how to manage when receiving inquiries from 4 or 5 different sources. Paolo, I'm not entirely sure what you mean with that question. Do you mean that you're receiving emails from different people, or is it just how to manage your inboxes in terms of you're getting Facebook messages, you're getting Instagram messages, you're getting WhatsApp messages, and then TripAdvisor reviews? If you could give me a little bit of clarity on that one, that would be great. How to manage the inbox. Right, okay. This is an interesting question. In terms of, you'd want to have your email inbox, that would be separate, that would be its own email inbox. I don't think that you can really integrate that with other platforms. But in terms of Facebook and Instagram, what we can do is you can use Facebook is great because it's already integrated with Instagram. That's wonderful. If it's just those two, then that's, you don't have to get anything extra. But there are platforms available where you can bring in all of your social media. So that's sort of how we manage it at Paddy. We have a program that we use that basically pulls in all of our comments, all of our messages into one platform, and it's a lot easier then to see everything. Yeah, I do agree that it's definitely too many places to check at once in terms of getting all of those in. But I would recommend looking into some platforms where you can pull in at least your social channels. If you watch the social media marketing presentation that I did, I think I've got in the links document to that, there's some suggestions, but yeah, I can, yeah, there's a list in there that you can do, okay? No worries. I'm revamping my Dive Center website. Is there any support or recommendations on how to represent the web page? Okay, so with that question, are you asking in terms of email, in terms of integrating your email with your new website, or are you trying to ask just regarding your website? Just wait for you to respond on that one. Just regarding the website. I mean, that's a very big question. There's a lot of things that you can do to, yeah. And potentially we might have to keep that one maybe for a different webinar. Potentially I could do a webinar on website best practices, because yeah, you could talk for hours on that one. Someone has asked, do you support Arabic emails? Is that in terms of, I think that's something that you would have to work with the email service provider to ensure that you select one that actually supports Arabic emails. I don't think that's something that I could tell you off the top of my head. Does anyone else have any questions? If not, then we can end this webinar in a moment, but I'm happy to stay on and answer a few more questions. Someone's asked, may I ask which platform you're using to combine your social media inboxes? So the platform that Paddy uses is called Chorus, but there are loads of platforms out there. Hootsuite is a good one that I think a lot of people use. I think they used to have a freemium version where you could just use it for free up to a certain amount, but I'm not sure if they do that anymore. But yeah. As social media is taking more and more presence, is the email still a good option? Paolo, that is an awesome question. And yes, email is a very good option. So basically with email, people have given you their data. You own that list. Like, whereas with social media, they're just following you. They can leave at any time. You know, worst case scenario, if Facebook suddenly just disappeared, you wouldn't be able to reach out to that audience anymore. And also, like I said in the beginning, email is such a personal channel. You can really like tailor your messaging to what that kind of person or that customer is going to want. So I really think that you should definitely focus on email as well as social media. Like, you don't have to focus on one or the other. They do work well if you integrate them together, but I would definitely make sure that you're still focusing on email. So another question, being a beginner in the email marketing, from where do you recommend to start? That's a very good question. I think one thing that I would ask you to do is maybe just take a few moments and go back through this webinar. I've included a link in the chat, and I hope that the link has worked, so please tell me if it hasn't, to a Dropbox where I've provided actually the slides that I used today, and it's got all of my presenter notes on there. So you can go through that step by step and really like just understand the fundamentals of email marketing. You know, I've kind of gone step by step what you need to do. So yeah. Great. Thank you, Anya. Hello, I'm asking because the problem of the inquiries for diving comes from all the social media and email, and the social media needs an immediate answer. Yeah, no, that is a very good point. People expect you to respond more quickly to them on social media than they do with email, and I think that's just like a society thing. That's just something that has come about through the use of social media and its immediacy. So yeah, I think that if that's really a problem for you, then I would recommend that you really sit back and think about how you can manage that, what programs you can use to make it more manageable for you, and how you can sort of manage people's expectations as well. I don't know if any of you have messaged the Paddy Pros Facebook page, but I've actually set up an automatic response on there because I do only monitor that during the day while I'm at work. So if someone messages, say, at like 5:30 on a Friday, I'm probably not going to see it until Monday morning. So, oh, sorry, I'm not sure why I would be waking up on that one, so I'm sorry. But yeah, no, I would definitely put in some ways to manage that, Paolo. Well, it seems like I've gone through a few questions, and if you have any others, then the email address for the EMEA marketing is on the PDF handout. So you can send any messages across to that. And also next week, I will be doing the Facebook Live presentation. So you can drop in there, and just like we've done at the end here, I've just kind of opened that up as a half an hour session where people can just join in and yeah, ask away, and I will do my best to answer you. And if I can't answer you, then I will do my best to point you in the right direction. So thanks everyone so much for being on the webinar, and I will see you next week or at the next webinar. Thank you very much.